to Weeaboo Hell. It's Weeaboo Hell. I am host A or B. I don't know where the power rankings are here. Dinar Dale, aka Blind Monkey, aka that guy who put up those Subway posters once, I guess.
I'm host 2, Mute Monkey, aka I haven't done any shit like that. My Photoshop chops are just not there.
At least as far as we all know. Maybe his lawyer just thinks we should know what he's been up to.
Yeah.
From my understanding of his disposition, there's some Viva la Resistance revolution shit going on over there. Kind of like...
We like spray paint a little bit more. I don't know, it's more user-friendly.
It's very V for Vendetta if you're an Alan Moore or Wachowski head, I guess.
More Wachowski than Alan Moore, even though, oddly, I guess because of my political leanings, I should like Alan Moore a little bit more, but I don't know.
I mean, he's not a universal vitamin. He's not for everyone. Sometimes he has trouble pacing out an idea. You know what else had trouble pacing out an idea? One of our shows, Fairy Gone.
This was a fun one for me because I did not hate it at all. It didn't make me sad watching it, although it did make me kind of frustrated watching it. I had a whole lot of fun, not picking on it so much, but I had a whole lot of fun not at all getting it.
Fairy Gone, I think that's the right way to put it. It is not a actively bad show, or I don't even think it ever really sinks into the baseline of a bad show. There is a structural competency throughout. Like, it looks like something that could have made it to the 12:30 slot on Adult Swim when I was coming up.
Yeah, absolutely. I would watch this. This is a show that I would totally watch after Gundam.
Yeah, I would totally watch it, so I'm waiting for, like, Trigun to kick off.
But, no, I would probably never seek out this show. It has this thing where I'm just completely left in the dust of its exposition every single episode. We're 3 episodes in.
We watched 3 episodes of this, and the second show we're doing, we also watched 3 episodes of, just for context, in case Fairy Gone gets way better or way worse later.
Where do I start with this one?
I will say, it is a show I think I would have personally sought out on my own free time. In that when it comes to anime, you know, everyone has their pet things. You can see that Sam enjoys when they really unpack the character dynamics well in these shows. And I like that too, but I guess one of my main points of entry when it comes to the whole anime, manga, and I guess a lot of comics and novels I read too, is I have an appreciation for a lot of fantasy action stuff. It was like my entry point into
anime,
like a lot of like I was into all that like Basilisk, Rurouni Kenshin stuff growing up.
Of course. Most of my favorite moments from anime, you know, in the about 20 years now of watching it, have been those pretty kick-ass, you know, action moments that could only really have taken place in anime.
And when I was sort of being onboarded into the genre, I mean, I guess the timing lined up with the whole Full Metal Alchemist comic series, which is, you know, Chef's Kiss, and then if you know,
we could do an episode about Full Metal Alchemist, but honest to God, I don't think you want to hear me masturbating for an hour.
I don't know, I think there's a market for that. Can you do the whole ASMR thing? Like, can you get really raspy for voice while I talk about Edward?
I think the more entertaining option is just, instead of recording an episode about me talking about Full Metal Alchemist, instead you record me watching Full Metal Alchemist and then kind of laugh at me as I literally cannot get through an episode without pausing 5 times, turning to my girlfriend and explaining to her, you know what, this is so fucking cool right here.
Man, we might need to do that in video just so we can catch the fist pumping aspect of that.
We're about to lose the thread here. We're like 5 sentences away from losing the thread.
Fair. Okay, Fairy Gone.
Okay, so Fairy Gone.
So yeah,
I don't think I've ever watched. No, that's not true. I have not watched a more unapologetically plot-driven series, at least that I can remember, since Gundam 00. Now, it should be said I liked Gundam 00, but in Fairy Gone, much like Gundam 00, the characters do not so much drive the plot as they are just sort of thrown in to act it out.
That is very true. I had a feeling very much like a D&D campaign, which can be a good or bad thing for a show, but in Fairy Gone, you just get the sense that it's time for us to go to here.
Yeah,
and
something's happening and we're doing something about it. And I'm not really sure who told us to do it or why we're doing it or what reason, but
Well, the
oh
plot's
man,
a bit.
there's villains, I think.
There's a fairy mafia. There's a vaguely oppressive government. I guess I should lay out the basic setup here. It's not too deep.
Oh, good. I'm glad you're going to do that for me because I certainly can't.
We are X number of years after the aftermath of a war. Judging by how much one character aged up, I guess it's between 10 and 20 years. The specifics don't matter. It just needs to be that this one little girl becomes a protagonist age bracket. I guess since this isn't a terrible show, I should point out it's not teenager. She's like, what, early 20s or something?
She seems to be in her 20s or so. Yeah, I would put her around there.
Because, you have to be very specific with that when talking about anime female protagonist ages, I guess. There's this war, and during this war, they capture fairies.
They turn them into stands.
And turn them into
Like,
stands.
I'm going to cut to the chase here. Fairies are stands in this show. The mechanics of it are, about as different as they needed to be for legal purposes. But fairies are stands.
I had a point of ambiguity with the show, the whole fairies are stands thing, by the way. Oh yeah, they make fairy super soldiers with stands or some shit. People have fairies in them. But the first time someone in the show used their stand thing, I wasn't sure if I resented the show for ripping off the thing so nakedly, or appreciated it that they were like clean enough with the delivery of the fact that these were just stands that they didn't have to explain anything about how their battle system works.
You know this. You've seen this.
They exposit endlessly about so much stuff on the
else,
show.
Literally everything else, but
the
this
action
whole
is just
fairy
cleanly
action
done. Yeah.
works. Nope. You've seen it before. Why go over it a second time? Listen. You know what you're here for. Like, you're already watching this fucking thing.
It's like, why are we gonna stand on ceremony here? You've been on Stand Island before. Let's see, what were the stands we had? Our main girl, I don't know what the thematic resonance of it is, if anything, but she has a fire thing going.
It looks sort of like a,
mannequin in a wedding dress.
It looks kind of like one of those mournful statues that you'd see in a church graveyard.
Yeah, very, very Bloodborne aesthetic on the stands themselves. Especially,
the wolf.
Yeah, the male lead in this has a giant wolf stand.
It's pretty
and it's the best
fucking
thing about
badass,
him.
I gotta tell you.
Like, points on, the way that wolf acts and moves does way more to sell him as a cool guy than any line they add in it or backstory stuff that they do.
Yeah, I don't know who these characters' personalities are. I really just don't. They sort of just talk about whatever the plot happens to be about at that particular moment. It's nothing against the characters. I'm sure they're fine as people, but they don't seem to be doing anything other than talking about proper nouns. Just endless
the proper nouns. Are rich and deep.
Oh my god.
The most functional stands seem to belong to the girl's old friend. She has a long lost friend. They were separated during the war, and the friend is back and doing.
She's bad now. She's
doing bad stuff, doing edge things.
Her name's Victoria or something, right?
Her name's Victoria. And
okay, cool. I was right.
She evidently.
I'm having a hard time remembering all these names.
She won the fucking superpower lottery because, again, they exposit about everything else, but her thing is so clean. Anyone that's wounded, her stand thing can just gank them in the moment.
It's oddly specific because pretty much everyone else is
Punch Ghost?
Punch Ghost, Punch Fairy. We'll call them Punch Fairies. Let's show the show just a little bit of respect there. Everyone's Punch Fairy seems to kind of do just that. It fairy punches people, and yet Victoria's then has a very specific mechanic, as though she's from part 4 and and then the wolf is from part 3.
That is the general feeling. Here's the weird thing, though. So, this character we just described, Victoria, right?
Mm-hmm.
She is protagonist A's old blonde friend, runs around in red. They got separated, is doing bad assassin things now. Protagonist B has a different old blonde friend running around doing bad assassin things now. And I get like parallelism and symmetry and all of that shit. Like, I have an MFA in fiction for reasons that escape me. But can you do that like within the same orbit of characters within the same 2 episodes?
What I like is that it's lazy on a couple different levels. First, the writing staff. I think this is an anime original.
It's an original production.
This is an anime original for a given value of original, but we'll talk about that. So it's lazy on two different levels. On the first level, he more or less just wrote the same character twice. When we find out they were related, I'm going to have called that fucking harder than Daenerys Targaryen.
Oh, and boy, did he call her Murder Frenzy. We've been placing bets on that one for going on 10 years now. I read those books in high school.
It was before the show started airing. The second way it's lazy is that they're both kinda a little bit Char-Aznable.
It really works that we recently did a tribute to Char-Aznable episode, because they decided they wanted to do a tribute to Char-Aznable show, I guess, and I hope it works out for them.
Well, this show is a tribute to a whole lot of other shows. And I guess I really shouldn't give shows shit for that just on principle, but it also has the disadvantage of being impossible to follow, and I don't know what I'm watching half the time, and people won't stop fucking talking about really, really complex things that they're doing and want to do, and things that are important, I guess. I don't know.
I have to say,
I just don't fucking know because they won't stop talking. I remember in one conversation they dropped no less than a half dozen proper nouns within maybe 10 sentences of dialogue or so, and I just was aghast that they would think that I am smart enough or astute enough to follow this, and I'm just not. I'm sorry.
I sort of just dipped my head into a pool of proper nouns and absorbed none of them, but I was never really mad at the show as much as Lost. When it comes to the show as a composite of other shows' ideas, and we can dump into which one's where.
Like it's better than Owari no Sarah.
Yeah, I know I'm prone to going back to our old victims, but it really just reminded me of how much I hated Surf at the end. This is way better. Like, maybe you don't even need to be that original if you can just, like, get up and do your job like a human being instead of whatever the fuck they were doing on that show.
No, this show does work. It really does work. It gets up at 7 a.m. every morning. It drives to work. It puts in its 8 hours. It goes to a bar. It gets, It
takes off its boots. It takes off its notepad. It writes down 17 more proper nouns. It's going to put into the first 3 minutes of the next fucking episode.
And then it goes to sleep and does it again the next day. Owari no Sarah wakes up, doesn't have a job.
doesn't have
a job, gets on YouTube, probably gets high after
it blazes one the size of your
probably
fist.
Gets high after about a half hour of YouTube or so.
Not high in a way, though, that stimulates creativity. Like, not off of necessarily weed, but like CBD oil or some shit.
I can vouch for CBD oil. You don't get high. Oh man, I'm on a podcast talking about CBD oil. Hey Jamie, Google that. I don't want to orphan this metaphor here. No, Owari no Sarah, when asked about what it did with its day, really is only capable of answering in shit it makes up about what it did with its day, because the answer really is nothing.
I think it's going to give you an answer in the genre of, what did you do with your day? Get off my back. I thought you loved me.
Wage slave.
Wage slave. It has a folder full of memes you're growing increasingly uncomfortable with as you wonder just what URLs it's exploring in your time off. So yeah, this setting's Edge thing, and I'm not averse to.
No, I love Edge. Edge is one of my favorite fucking things.
To Edge, I don't know. I guess so it's the story's Edge thing is that essentially there are these fairies that they're like shoving into super soldiers, or whatever, to make them super soldiers, and everything has like a little sprinkle of Alice in Wonderland kind of diction over everything. Like there's an organization
sort of like,
called Arcane or whatever, and people
sort of like how the handshakers have this sprinkling of vaguely Babylonian jargon.
Yeah. This one is like
so in the way that anime kind of does that. They'll sort of pick a source material of some sort and kind of layer it in there just a little bit.
Yeah, so like, Grimm's Fairy Tales meets Witch Hunter Robin. I guess what was weird to me about it, and maybe we'll get more into it sometimes it feels like when you do that kind of thing, it has to mean something. I don't mean something deep. I mean something like base level, like environmental destruction or some bullshit vis-a-vis like the fairy exploitation, whatever. But here, it just, I guess, just feels like it exists. Like it's there. It provides a note of flavor, but it doesn't mean anything for better or worse.
It doesn't really serve to advance an idea. I don't know. Maybe it does.
I guess, yeah. I guess that's the curse of 3 episodes in.
It could very well be that it totally does, and we just cannot follow this series because it's impenetrable.
Yeah, I think what would help this show out a lot would be to cram at least 10 more names and places in the episode opening expository bits.
Yeah, absolutely. If you're gonna, like, do this, then fucking commit to it. Don't half-ass this shit.
I basically want Tech 9 reading the Silmarillion.
I want to give this show some credit because I feel it deserves some. The character designs, I thought, are pretty up there.
The show looks great. It has a good color palette for something
it has a pretty
wants to
good
go for.
color palette. It seems that it has a fun aesthetic that reminds me just a little bit of your Full Metal Alchemist, but not so much that it feels like it's aping it too hard.
Yeah, I could even file that under maybe like influenced by instead of a brick through a window as shows are wont to do.
Well, like okay artists borrow, great artists steal. But no, this it definitely sort of has its own look, and I can appreciate that. You know what it kind of reminds me of a little bit is Dishonored.
Yes, that's the exact title. I was trying to peg it the whole
time. It just came to me right now.
That it was a stealth game. It wasn't Metal Gear Solid. No one's calling themselves Naked Snake. No one thinks they're someone's long lost brother or anything. But yeah, Metal Gear Solid. Dishonored. Sorry, but yeah, this Dishonored is all over this thing, including the look of its limited mechanical. But do you remember that one fucking car that had like the beetle legs in front?
I hate when people fucking do this. I really do. I love when a show creates a world and maybe some things seem like they're kind of impractical or whatever, but whatever, just live in the fucking world, right? But let me spell it out because we can't show them a picture of it. At some point in the second episode, someone drives up in a, I don't want to call it a truck. Yeah, sure, like a truck. It has, I guess you could say, 3 axles. On the second 2 axles, there are wheels. On the first axle, it has like spider legs. It has what I can only...
And these spider legs are booking to try to make this thing look like it can move realistically. And I am laughing.
I really have to wonder...
my gonads off.
How are the spider legs at all practical? It seems like they were to require so much more energy, power, whatever, in order to work.
Like
so much more prone to breaking.
You could excuse it if it was all spider legs. It was like
if it was all spider legs, right? If they just like never figured out wheels, they'd figured out spider legs instead. I'm like, okay, yeah, that would never happen, but sure, yeah.
But this thing has
I'll
back
play
wheels.
with you here. No, this thing does have wheels.
So you can't off-road it, otherwise this thing's gonna be scooting around like a dog dragging its ass around the carpet. Which, as great an image as that is for a car.
I want to see them do that. I want to see them go to the jungle or something in a later episode with one of these things and have it horribly malfunction.
Which, it would be pretty fucking great.
Just have one of the blonde villains be yelling at the fucking thing. Piece of shit!
Oh man, I could see the future dialogue already, just... Remember who you are! I'm someone whose fucking bullshit car doesn't fucking work! But yeah, the car is entertaining. What were the other little world note things other than like, okay, so everything has these sort of sing-songy names, Will Carlin, etc.
Everything's got sing-songy names. There's all sorts of fucking jars everywhere.
Oh yeah, jars with creatures and parts of creatures.
I don't want to quite call it jar core because it's not that much, but like
maybe jar punk.
Jar punk. But no, the world is so full of jars, and most of these jars have fairies in them. I guess, and that makes sense or whatever, but I'm just struck by all of the jars that I get in every episode. I get at least 3 an episode.
Oh man, you had the, in terms of the names, you had the Arcane Mafia.
What is the name of the MI6-ass fairy secret service that the...
shit, was that Dorothea or was
Dorothea, there we go.
Yeah.
Dorothea...
Oh yeah, our main character is sort of a spy who was infiltrating the mafia for the fantasy government. Which then they could have delivered pretty cleanly across 3 episodes. We sort of sprinted in 6 minutes.
Well, here's the thing. To their credit, I definitely know that he was infiltrating the Fairy Mafia on behalf of Fairy MI6. That bit of information has not been lost on me. Most other information that they have tried conveying to me in the 2 episodes hence, no, it didn't get there.
Speaking of information and names, how about the name Bittersweet?
All right, so here's the thing.
I'm gonna
Oh
burn
yeah,
this
yeah,
one.
go for it.
So they're in the middle of expositing about something else when suddenly he grabs protagonist B and shoves her out of sight and says, "Sweetie?" ? And the gag is that this sort of Bond girl kind of woman in the anime tradition.
I would actually,
stumbles
yeah,
out,
that's very accurate right there.
stumbles out and says, "I didn't know you were into children now," because the girl is like 20 and he's like 35 or something, whatever. But
yeah, I'd put him around there.
she's evidently someone from his past. And more important than any of the plot stuff, any of the...
Yeah, I remember
any
this
of the-
way better than any of that shit.
Any of the government, rebellion, crime shit, is the fact that she is a human being that has lived her life named Bittersweet. And just acts like this all the time.
So here's the thing. If these are her first 2 names and her last name is Symphony, then yeah, they get the nod for the JoJo reference right there for naming shit after songs. Otherwise, no, that's goddamn silly.
I don't know, I guess they wanted to keep their JoJo levels at a 9 instead of a 10.
Instead of a 10. Yeah, I'm sure. It's the fact that this show is full of such silly shit like this. Like, literally Fairy Mafia, and yet it takes itself so goddamn dead seriously. There's not a hint of irony anywhere in this show.
It's weirdly endearing.
Yeah, no, I can't help it. I kind of get a little engine that, tried off of this show.
It's like we said, I could definitely watch this while I'm waiting for, like, fucking Trigun to start.
There's nothing cynical about it. Like, a whole lot of times with shows that are as pretty
Edgecore.
baldly derivative as this show tends to be, I'm not going to let it completely off the hook. It will seem cynical and lazy, but honest to fucking God, they want to do something, and they're really trying, and they take it so seriously, and I can't help but admire them.
It is something. For me, I think the only guys who are really super underperforming on the staff, other than where, I guess, okay, the writers aren't doing a whole lot of heavy lifting.
The writers are doing a whole lot, but it's not really working too hard.
I found, and maybe it's like a petty gripe, but like I found the sort of active rock thing they were going for in the soundtrack kind of
Oh, yeah,
forgettable.
the sort of...
And I guess
not,
it's weird because the show has such a sense of pointed style to it.
And then it's got a sort of a soundtrack that just doesn't kind of... Yeah, it's...
Like, it has a soundtrack that completely blends, whereas everything else is like green and red colors playing everywhere in military uniforms, and...
They wanted Hiroyuki Sawano. They had to get, kind of not Hiroyuki Sawano for this one.
A classic mistake across many series.
Wait, Jamie. Google if it's Hiroyuki Sawano on this series.
Oh man, okay, we're gonna fact check ourselves real quick here, I guess. A musician named No Name, as in no knowledge, not no negative.
So it's not
composing
him.
Music, and I don't know, dude. Step it up, I guess. But
I mean, not like, as I say, it's very clear what they're going for. I don't know. I don't know why they didn't just get him. I mean, they got him for fucking Owari no Sarah.
I mean, I guess he can't do
Although
every
he
show.
was
Though I
barely
would love to
fucking
see.
trying on that one, if I'm remembering correctly.
I think it'd be funny to dump Sawano themes into more like not even non-action,
No, you need
like,
to put that motherfucker in Slice of Life.
Make him do fucking pop tape.
Pop, no, you make him do pop. Well, no, that would be funny, and like you could understand the irony of doing that. No, man, put him in fucking Slice of Life shows.
Just the music swelling as four girls
put
start
him
trying
in,
to
like,
make a band.
Tearjerker Emoto shows. Put him in Love Live.
Great. A thing here.
Yeah.
A thing on the plot level. Just something I thought about. Just something that struck me. So they made 300 fairy super soldiers or whatever. There are X left because they were hunting them down after the war. Why is it in every setting?
People don't treat their super soldiers
Why
right.
do people feel the need? It's like there's something in the human DNA that says "fuck our super soldiers."
Don't bully super soldiers.
If there was anyone that you would stick with a nice pension program to keep them quiet,
Like, the best case scenario, when you bully your super soldiers, they'll beat the shit out of you in an elevator. That is the best case scenario. Usually they just gut you.
but for some reason, either during their creation or afterwards, Dr. Fuckfaces just wakes up on the wrong side of the bed and says, "Today we'll be moving the project forward by electrocuting each of their genitals and testing their reaction." And their reaction is always the same thing. Ow. Why is there a jumper cable on my crotch? And they don't appreciate it, and the plot moves from there. And I get it, you need some inciting action, but I don't know, maybe if the state is so borderline fash, maybe they like have some hero worship thing going on with these guys instead. You could do a lot of shit with that. Like the whole state alchemist thing was cool, I thought.
Yeah. Is the state supposed to be borderline fash? If it is, then they could do way more to communicate that. You know, you'd think that they would talk
I
about
thought
it.
that might be where it was going. I could have misread it. The show hasn't beat that drum heavy.
Not as heavily as Full Metal Alchemist beat it, certainly.
Yeah, so I don't know. I guess we'll see where that goes, or likely won't because the second show in this episode is better. But
Yeah.
I don't know. The super soldier thing has always been fucking bizarre to me across anime, video games. Most likely how America would treat its own super soldiers at any given point. I'm sure that you've seen the VA. It's not going to be great.
Yeah, you're right.
Master Chief's going to be sitting there. He hasn't gotten his check in 3 months. He's going to have some strong words for someone. It's going to be what we call an issue. So, do you remember the artificial fairies?
Yeah. No, that was
That was very
honestly got
entertaining.
low key the best moment of the third episode is just when the guy literally says the words artificial fairies. I don't
And
know.
there's an ominous pan behind him to these various suits of armor, supposed to be animated by bad juice.
The bad shit. It runs on bad shit, pure, high octane bad shit.
Like, you can get, like, diesel or unleaded. Like, they went pure, expensive, high-grade bad shit for them.
And it reminded me of nothing more than, okay, so 10 years ago, were you...
Before the end.
Before the end. I believe the two of us were both reading Penny Arcade about 10 years ago, and it reminded me of nothing more than the line, "That's right, we can create wolfoids."
Yeah, it has...
Like, it
that
was
spirit.
right the fuck there, and yeah, of course, because in the last 10 years, parody has morphed into reality.
It was great. It reminded me of that specific flavor of edge building that some
Like,
people
I
say
do
they
appreciate
watch.
it. I'm not trying to dunk on
I'm
the
not,
show.
I'm not trying to dunk it. Sometimes the things you like are funny. It's
No, it's just like,
but-
I actually did love this fucking moment.
But with that brand of edge building, we often say we watch certain media to indulge our inner child. That's not quite true for me. I think I watch it to indulge my inner teenager. And my inner teenager was pretty down to clown with that.
Artificial fairies.
Artificial fairies,
And
which
wolfoids.
which-
I want to see an artificial fairy fight a wolfoid.
fucking protagonist B has a wolfoid stand, I guess.
Oh yeah, and he did actually.
That thing is great. It
kind
runs
of-
on all fours like the fucking werewolves in Skyrim.
He did actually take one or two artificial fairies to Pound Town with that thing. So I guess.
Oh,
we
right,
have
in
seen-
episode 2, yeah, before
in
we knew they
episode
were
2. Yeah, I forgot about episode
artificial
2.
fairies.
So one thing that frustrates me about this series that you see in episode 2 and 3 a whole lot is that they really, and this is going to be a little bit hard to articulate without sort of showing you folks, but they almost give you a really good fight scene every once in a while in this series. They almost give it to you, and then sort of in an effort to surprise you, they will stop it real short.
It's
With
true.
some
They
sort of-
will
with
not
some
let
sort
you
of
finish.
twist
They
or
give
another.
you action edging, I would say.
So towards the end of the third episode, for instance, which is the one that I've watched the most recently and is thus the one that I'm going to be talking about for the purposes of this example, Free. Free is the name of the older
What a
of
name.
the two protagonists. It's easy to remember. I'll fucking give them that. Free and this bittersweet character that he has encountered come in contact to the MacGuffin that they were searching for this whole episode, or they were not searching for. They knew where it was. It was briefly stolen.
The table of contents of the Black Fairy Tome, and they talk about this Black Fairy Tome over and over again. I still don't know what the Black Fairy Tome does.
I don't know what's in it. I don't know why they want it. They want it though. It's on the ground between them, and throughout the episode, this bittersweet character's prowess as a fighter has been built up a little bit. You're thinking, oh man, we might get something here. And sure enough, they make a go at one another for a second.
And then
immediately, the fight is cock-blocked by protagonist one, Marlia. Marlia then shoots the ground next to her and says, all right, next time I'm not going to miss. And I kind of wanted them to sword fight for a little bit. Just a little bit. Then she could, you just give me another, 15 seconds of that shit.
When the fights are the best thing that a show has going for it, it feels a bit like when a band just refuses to play the song that they know you came there for. Mastodon still basically refuses to play Blood and Thunder now. And
back before Robert Plant decided that he was Robert Plant and not member of Led Zeppelin Robert Plant, I'm pretty sure that they just stopped doing Stairway entirely.
Brutal.
Yeah, they were done with it.
Funny that we paired those references. Mastodon just released a cover of Stairway.
I need to check that shit out.
It works.
They're playing in Coney Island this year, right?
We need to look that up.
Yeah, no, it's them and Coheed and Cambria are playing in Coney Island.
Oh, in terms of being a 3D nerds, yeah, Sludge Metal 2, superhero comics, anime, wrestling. I don't
love
sleep.
my
I just
prog.
sort of inhale.
I do love my prog, and Coheed and Cambria. Coheed and Cambria was Babby's first prog.
So yeah, Fairygon is a moderate program, but there are 1,000 fucking anime every season, so because I said that, that means you are never going to watch Fairygon, and you will be fine for not doing so because it kind of just exists.
Yeah, you're not missing too amazingly much. It's fun for a second or two every episode or so. It's more just, I feel I more had fun being frustrated with the thing that I did actually consuming it as a piece of art.
It is definitely a show you might watch to talk about with someone that, I don't know, if you're paired off with someone, then maybe that can be your couple show and you can bant about its rises and falls.
Although, for my money, the show to do that with is, of course, still Domestic Girlfriend.
Yes, Domestic Canajo. That thing is a fucking human event.
We were talking about it a little while ago, and that episode was recorded more than a month before this one, and I've had a whole lot of time to think about that show, and there were definitely better shows that came out that season, certainly. None of them were just as fun to experience, in a room with another person.
Oh yeah,
that one.
It is definitely
I had so much fun
conversation
just watching
piece.
it.
Yeah.
And just sort of watching it go to the places it does.
Do you remember Jerry Springer, the heyday of that kind of material?
Absolutely. It is,
that mode of engagement,
there's something so amazingly daytime TV about the whole thing.
You and your friends skip school and this is your reward.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Watch Domestic Girlfriend. It really needs to get that second season, guys. Please, you gotta help me out here. I need it.
I mean, I don't know, man. That thing panders pretty hard. I think it's getting a second season.
So
I mean, I'm sure something that is beautifully produced high art won't because of the balance of the universe, but I believe Domestic Mechanijo is coming back for us.
Until I see that Kaguya-sama is coming back, I will not believe on principle that Domestic Mechanijo is coming back.
Fair.
Although,
in our bridge between shows, what's gonna come with this? Because of you, I tried the Kaguya-sama manga. And because of you, my fucking life is ruined. Because I went through that shit in 4 days.
Perhaps caught up on the Kaguya-sama manga?
I am perhaps...
So am I.
Exactly up to date in the Kaguya-sama manga. As of press time, it is Kaguya wants to confess, parentheses, ice. And, I don't know, I had goals once. I was a person...
I never had fucking goals. I just had shit that I wanted to do that day. It's been
Well, maybe
alright.
that's the approach I should have taken until fucking now. But I'm relatively driven. Another guy who's relatively driven is the protagonist of Blade of the Demon, and man, can this guy not catch a fucking break. Or, I guess, okay, Japanese title, Kimetsu no Yaiba. I don't know what level of weeb you're
Demon
engaging in
Slayer.
this at.
I've been calling it Demon Hunter, but the English seems to be Demon Slayer. I don't know, maybe I just... Warcraft something. Demon Slayer. It's called Demon Slayer.
Oh man, Warcraft Vanilla is coming out soon, but I won't fall down that rabbit hole.
I can't do that shit again, man.
Yeah, I can do like good, clean meth instead.
Like, it's that or Adderall or both. I'm not gonna do it again.
God.
Because if I do, then that's just gonna be what I do.
Yeah, not much else in common with Warcraft in this material, like, other than, I guess, sort of feudal time setting we're kicking around in. But
Yeah, but
this was good.
I'm actually really enjoying Demon Slayer. I think it's got an elegant simplicity to it that I like. I think it helps that I've watched as much shonen as I have in my time, that I can appreciate when it is done well and done in a like simplified kind of streamlined manner.
Yeah, and there's nothing insulting about it, which isn't a bar we always achieve on this show.
No, absolutely. It seems to assume that you're fairly familiar with shonen too.
Yeah, though its storytelling is in a way where if this was like the first weeb shit you had jumped into, I think you'd be able to follow.
Yeah, I absolutely
like,
think that you would be able to follow it. Certainly.
They are good with that. I guess I should talk about the broader setup of the
Yeah,
show.
yeah.
Again.
Let's go into the premise here. You can do that.
All right, so basically we have this kid in this working class feudal family in the Japanese countryside.
It seems to be in the Edo period, sometime in the 1800s, I believe. That like there are power lines in one shot, so.
And the second worst thing that can happen to you, the worst thing is any given war at the time, happens to his community in that a demon strolls through and he has a family 100% less populous than he did before he went out that day.
90% less populous.
90% less
Therein
populous.
lies the rub.
Therein lies the rub, because instead of dead, his sister is alive and 100% demon.
Demons work a certain way in this show. Near as I can tell, they gave me an info dump, although it was not so full of proper nouns and weird ideas that people have. Point being, demons work a certain way in this show. One thing is that often when they kill people, they themselves become demons. Not quite in a zombie sort of way. It seems to be a more rare occurrence. It seems more often than not they just fucking kill people, but there are rare occasions when they spawn a new demon by doing so.
Yeah, the show does a good job, of making you care about this kid in the baseline, which is,
He's a good
some
kid.
of the hardest work. He's a
good kid. He's not annoying.
And because you care about this kid's reactions, you actually feel a bit of the pathos. Where he's like, oh shit, my sister's all vampirified up. Anyway, this this demon slayer, strolls through to slay a yonder demon, because what else did he get up? What else did he walk all the way here to go? He's not gonna die. There are no Instagram filters he has to add to his food.
And thus does he do so. Guy's pretty good. He delivers on what he advertises.
But after this whole drawn out thing, and it's hard for me to explain the dramatics of it, but actually it's not hard. He wants to kill the sister because she's a fucking demon, and the brother's like, please let me try to fix this. And
I think he seems to sort of just appreciate the novelty of the idea. Like,
not just the novelty, he does make the kid fight for it pretty. Like, do you have the strength to see this through? And the whole thing is like, it's that basic long-term seemingly impossible task of, can I turn this person back from demondom or whatever, which...
Well, I like it as a shonen protagonist's motivation because it's such a rare thing. And even Hiroaka is not immune to it. And I love Hiroaka. It's one of my favorite shows right now.
But yeah, so much of battle manga is rooted in becoming the best
number
X.
one guy at thing.
And I know we've all enjoyed our One Pieces and Afro Samurais, but we have to come up with other things.
You know what's weird is that pretty much the worst ever long-running shonen action anime did not
Fairy
have
Tail?
Bleach.
Oh yeah,
Bleach. the protagonist did not want to become the number one guy at thing. He sort of just... what did he want? Did he want
Ichigo's
anything?
motivations didn't seem to kick much further than not wanting his friends to be dead.
Yeah, I think most of the time it's just someone had been kidnapped. It's a new person every time. And they gotta go fucking rescue them.
Yeah, they need to start microchipping his friends or something. Or I don't know. Can they
Oh,
put one of those
fucking
bells
God.
they put on cats on them?
Or maybe just someone starts carrying a fucking gun or something.
A gun or...
Like, because at the end of the day, a Zanpakuto is just a sword.
Remember those whistles that some kids had for the stranger danger thing? Can they start carrying those, like, spiritual danger whistles? Though, given how that show generally worked, it would just be a sound that foreshadowed jobbing.
Oh, God.
So
I
he's
remember
having
just
a
how much-
trauma flashbacks
Yeah, no, I'm
right
just
now.
remembering how much fucking work these shows put into building up this dude you're never going to see again because they're about to fucking die.
Yep. It is potent.
Like, they're about to just get their shit pushed in by this dude who you've been with the whole time and still...
So,
Yeah, no, it's...
we're only 3 episodes in.
Shonen frustrates me sometimes.
It does. We're only 3 episodes in, and I can't speak to the superstructure of the show, obviously, because of that. And only 6 episodes are out, so I couldn't even, like, I don't know, cheat ahead and skip or something. I mean, there's a comic out,
There's a
but
comic,
I
yeah.
have to sleep at some point. I just read all of Kaguya-sama in 4 days, and you can kill me now. But what I appreciated about these early chapters is that there's just very strong elemental A to B, like, sort of bread and butter storytelling. And they just make sure that the little emotional beats within that circuit works well.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, complexity can be great. We all love our psychopaths, etc. But sometimes achieving these simple loops and doing it well is just worthwhile because you feel the show.
Well, I think complexity is best when it disguises itself as simplicity, right? You could do what Fairy Gun does, which, yeah, Fairy Gun is complex, certainly, and it is complex by way of bombarding you with all this shit that's going on in this world. And honest to God, it just seems like they wanted to write a fantasy novel series, and they got an anime order instead.
13 episodes is a tall order for conveying the events that they want you to
I
give
don't know,
a
I don't know
fuck about.
when I'm supposed to start catching on to all this shit. But then you actually have your complexity done in a kind of smarter way. That, yeah, like your Psychopaths, your Attack on Titan, your sort of your Death Note. It's not quite what I'm thinking of, although I like Death Note. Is you put a few elements into play and then you have them connect in interesting ways, ways that you would not expect at first and are surprising to learn about as information is released throughout the course of the series.
Yeah.
I don't actually think that Demon Slayer is really a show like that. I think the information will be released throughout the course of the series, but it will be probably new information about new things rather than new information about familiar things.
Yeah.
You know, elements will be introduced. These elements will take the form of characters, plot lines, and such. It's a shonen action show.
It's a shonen action show. There's a hard line for a shonen action show to walk with in terms of making the I don't know. They're always very, not always obviously, but they're often very into showing the sense of heart and grit that this main character has, and this one does a few smart things that help it to land.
There's an episode. The third episode takes place over the course of an entire year.
This one takes place over the course of an entire year. They skip all of the tired, natural overnight genius stuff. No, it's this kid just putting in his fucking boot camp work for a year.
I'm pretty into that, in fact.
It takes him a year to learn how to fucking shot web in this one.
Yeah, like, I feel like that's been a trope that's on the rise in shonen action. Your Hiraka, your Attack on Titan, people. No, they're at this shit for months, sometimes years.
God, fucking Eren Yeager hanging upside down.
For what is implied, I think they never actually tell you that it was 3 years, but if you do the math, yeah, it was 3 years before even like the 4th episode began.
Damn.
Yeah.
So yeah, that bit of the training in the 3rd episode was And I guess the cut was done nice too. It took me 6 months.
It took 6 fucking months.
Jeez, man.
I almost am not sure where to go with this episode because they have been so very deliberately pacing this out in such a way that makes it very digestible that 3 episodes in, there aren't actually too many elements in play. They've written a very good character. They've written a very good protagonist. Tanjiro, the guy's name. Just very, very good character design. It calls attention to itself a little bit, but not in a sort of obnoxious Final Fantasy X sort of way.
Infinite Zipper works.
All of them. Fucking all of it. I don't, like, what are you trying to, what do you need to access quickly?
I think they're like the magic tattoos in D&D. Each of them just has a cantrip they
like
can use in an emergency.
Thing going on, yeah.
There's an extra fire unzip.
But no, Tanjiro is both a well-designed character in terms of visually speaking, and just a likable enough dude.
Yeah.
Although, like, I've seen more memorable or immediately more compelling shonen action protagonists, but he works. He's got a very simple motivation, which is I would love my sister not to be a demon anymore. That'd be pretty cool.
It would really fit in with my day if she was 60% less Satan.
And if this like a demon slayer thing is what I gotta do, then by golly, I'm gonna do it.
I was really worried for a second when the sister was a survivor, and it's because we do this show and open with handshakers and just all the Emoto shit that has been drilled in the back of my brain.
3 episodes in, this is not pivoted to Emoto yet, and I'm really fucking proud of them for not having done that. Now,
who's to say
Darling in the Franxx is still a show, and any show can go to absolute shit if you give it enough time to do so.
Darling in the Franxx was the most elegant, gymnast-like Simone Biles jump over the shark. Like, the Russian judge gives it 9 points.
I still need to watch it. Maybe I shouldn't, though. Maybe, like, it's better if Darling in the Franxx just exists as this hilarious fucking train wreck.
I would do
in my mind
the gag watch with you, but there's so much shit happening on a consistent basis, and I still kind of want to make you suffer through Isekai Quartet.
If we do Isekai Quartet, and this is an episode idea, by the way, we're going to do that, and we're also going to do Tsubasa Reservoir Chronicle. I have never watched a single...
Sweet, let me die, let's do it.
I've never watched a single episode of Car Captors, of Tokyo Babylon, of Holic, any of Clamp's shit. I've consumed none of it except Code Geass, and they only did the character designs.
Avengers Infinity War claims to be the most ambitious crossover of all time.
And we'll do that, and we'll do Isekai Quartet. And I wish I found Konosuba funny. I just hate Isekai so much. I just hate it so fucking much, guys. And maybe we'll do an episode just about that genre in particular. But even Shield Hero, which was supposed to be the elevation of the genre into legitimate, no, man, when they start talking about video game mechanics, I just got fucking mad.
We're not gonna do the hyperbolic YouTube thing and compare Isekai to like a failed disease like cancer, Ebola, or something. That's petty and childish. Isekai is like herpes.
It's annoying and it won't go away. But we're getting off track here. We're supposed to be talking about Demon Slayer. Although the more I think about it, the less there honestly is to say about this series.
The masks are amusing.
It's very good. Yeah, it's the series visual look. There's something to be said for it. It's pretty singular. Mm-hmm. You know immediately what you're watching. It doesn't feel like a lot of shows that we've seen, and quite a few that we've talked about on this podcast, where I'll be watching it and I'll be thinking, I'm watching one of a dozen different mid-2000s harem anime or whatever.
When the images start to blend together and they look like five different people, shows
yeah,
in your head.
And I remember particular offenders were Aurora no Seraph, which that's gonna be my whipping boy till the day we die, and Arm Girls Machiavellianism.
Oh shit! I think we need to go back to that one.
Yeah, I don't really remember watching or talking about that episode. As you remember, that was the That was the St. Patrick's Day
No,
episode.
I don't fucking remember.
I don't, in fact,
I, in
remember.
fact, literally forgot that it was St. Patrick's Day when we watched it. Because that was how far into the whiskey dimension I was.
I think we put away a liter of the Honey Jack that... Well, anyway.
I'm gonna bite the Red Letter Media structural thing and say, alright, our two shows. Would you recommend Fairy Gone?
Yes, kind of.
Yes, kind of.
Watch it with a friend.
I'm gonna say... I wouldn't necessarily recommend Fairy Gone just because, not so much this season, but the last season was just the densest of good shows.
And this season is just not there at all.
Which presents a rare opportunity for a catch-up season, I guess. Like,
Yeah, no, you could totally just...
watch A Place Beyond the Universe.
You could do A Place Beyond the Universe. If you didn't get Kaguya-sama done, then fucking get Kaguya-sama done. What the hell are you waiting around for?
Just catch up with the zeitgeist. Show number 2. Gonna steal the Red Letter Media thing again. Would you recommend Demon Slayer?
Yeah, absolutely. It's just a straight up good time.
Yeah, I would unabashedly recommend Demon Slayer.
It does not demand a whole lot of you. That's not necessarily a problem, though. Lupin the Third does not demand a whole lot of you, and it's one of
that is a great point of comparison. It's like the fantasy action version.
Yeah,
It's
no,
like
absolutely.
simple storytelling, just run through.
It's just like right there. It's not episodic the way that Lupin is, but like yeah, no, it's sort of just like look, this is what you're getting. You understand it, cool. It's not difficult to understand. Here it is. I would absolutely recommend it.
Yeah. Man, our time in grimdark Japan, and this reminded me, we need to finish Dororo at some point.
We need to finish starting Dororo at some point. I think we only got an episode or 2 into that thing.
Dude's right. In any case, this has been Weeaboo Hell.
It's Weeaboo Hell.
I'm Dinar Dale, aka Blind Monkey.
I am Sam Legault, aka Mute Monkey.
Thank you for listening. And hey, we went the entire episode without saying anyone should do anything to any elected officials.
Oops, I guess.
Alright. It is now connected. Ah, beer. Iron Maiden beer. Lending context and meaning to life. So it's drinking in the same day that kills your gains.
Generally speaking, yeah. Because, it's while your muscles are doing the recovering. You don't want to put, alcohol in there.
Oh, okay.
It's not like you're a strong dude and then you drink a beer and then your beer poisons your muscles until they die. No. The beer poisons your body and makes it less efficient at repairing muscles.
Ah, the eternal myth of soy. Fucking 4chan.